Here's the roll pan that I purchased from Amazon. This same pan is available on eBay through several different sellers. It arrived with some minor shipping damage and a few slight imperfections as well. I was able to work out most of the imperfections, but don't beat me up too bad in the comments if I didn't do everything with the proper technique or in the proper order, as I really don't have any prior bodywork experience. And honestly, this job was a lot more work than I had anticipated. So if you plan to install one of these roll pans yourself, just be aware. Every truck's going to be a little different, and it could be a pretty big job. With that being said, if you do decide to tackle this yourself, I think the end result is well worth it. Alright, let's address this shipping damage first. This side was very minor, and I was able to work it out pretty easily. Now onto the other side, and again, this wasn't bad at all. Okay, now I had to address the fabrication defects. And this little section here is probably the ugliest. I need to get it to look like this other side with a nice crisp right angle to it. So first I need to remove some of this weld so that I can hopefully tap this metal back in to where it's nice and straight. Here I just took my time with this piece of steel and a small ball peen hammer, gently tapping on this section until it was recessed up into the corner. Alright, let's see how it fits. And it's actually a very tight fit, so we're going to have to address that. The truck measured about 67 1/8, and the roll pan measured right about the same. So I need to take a little off of each side, about 1/8 inch or so to start with, and hopefully that'll give us a nice tight factory style gap. Okay, that's fitting in there a lot better, but it's not sitting against the bed flat. Looks like the bed's a little high in the middle, so we'll knock that down. It's fitting much better now, but it still needs a little trimming in a few places. Now we've got this issue. We're pushed all the way up and in at the top, lined up at the bottom, yet we're protruding past the bed about 1/4 inch. Not the best angle to see it here, but we got the same situation on this side, just not lining up with the bed. So we've decided to cut this upper mounting flange and leave about 1/4 inch lip. Then we can hang the roll pan onto that lip and move it in or out as needed to line up with the bed. Clean it up with a sanding disc, and then we'll see how it fits. After some careful measurement, we've went ahead and attached the upper piece with sheet metal screws, reinstalled the tailgate, and now we can hang the roll pan onto the lip that we left on the upper piece and check fitment. Looks like it's fitting pretty well. The tailgate opens with no interference. I think we're good to go. Now I can spot weld the roll pan and the mounting flange back together. Not the prettiest spot welds I've ever seen, but I've got one about every 2 to 3 inches, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. If you'll notice, the roll pan lines up nice and flush with the bed. Next, I need to fabricate a bracket to attach the bottom of the roll pan to the body. Cut my angle, clean it up with the belt sander, weld this tab to the bracket with a hole drilled to attach to the body. Here I've got the bracket clamped in place on the body and in position on the roll pan. A couple spot welds and it should be good. Here we had to address some issues with the truck body. We took a piece of cardboard and traced out this gap, then transferred it to this piece of sheet metal. After a few trips to the grinder, we've got it fitting pretty good. Carefully spot it into place. And after some grinding, some Bondo, and some sanding, it's turned out pretty nice. Here we're applying seam sealer to all of our welds, as well as the factory welds. I didn't get any video or photos of it, but I did spray the entire backside of the roll pan with a rubberized undercoating to protect it from the elements. A good bit of seam sealer across the top of the mounting flange. Here I'm just going over everything with some 400 grit sandpaper on the DA sander to get it ready for primer. I decided to go ahead and remove these pop rivets that held the lower trim on, since I won't be reinstalling that. A cutoff wheel on the Dremel tool did the trick here. Take them down with a disc sander. Then the orbital sander. And finally, some 600 to 800 grit on the block sander. Clean it with some alcohol. Apply some Bondo. Feather the Bondo out with the orbital sander. Clean with alcohol, and you're ready for primer. Here's after a few coats of paint. And then a few more coats of paint. I also used a filler primer on this, and now it didn't come out perfect, but for a spray can paint job, it's not that bad, and I'm actually pretty pleased with how it turned out. It'll definitely do until I get the whole truck painted.